The Steam Summer Sale just started up and is going on until July 11th, and I wanted to talk about 50 of my favorite games that you can grab for under 10 bucks right now, plus maybe throwing in a couple extra here and there that were very, very close to hitting that number. Every single one of these games that I'm going to talk about, with one specific exception, are Steam Deck verified or at least playable, so they are things you can play on your Steam Deck, though some of them might take a little bit of settings tweakings in order to get the right performance out of the system. I'm going to kick things off with one of my absolute favorite franchises that I now have fallen in love with playing on Steam Deck, Yakuza. Most of the mainline Yakuza games right now are on sale for only $6 a piece. That's including Kiwami, Kiwami 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Sadly, 0, for whatever reason, specifically is not on sale, so it's still full price for that, but you can get a bundle of all of them together that adds up to those 7 games, coming down to all in less than $10 a piece. Worth noting, for whatever reason, only one of these is unsupported on Steam Deck, which is Yakuza 6, but all the other ones will run just fine on the system. I even played the most recent entry, 8, on Steam Deck the whole way, and it was fantastic. Speaking of getting into whole franchises at a great deal, what is in my mind the absolute best deal on this list, it's happened a couple times before and I can't believe how much you get for how little. You can grab the Mass Effect Legendary Edition for just $6. This is a collection of the main 3 Mass Effect games, all remastered and updated. One in particular had a bit of extra work done to bring the combat a little more in line with the later games, and these are content complete with all their DLC, everything, for just $6. Normally it's $60, which in my mind is already a great deal for how much you're getting, but right now during the summer sale it is 90% off, bringing it down to $6. That is $2 a game for what in my mind is one of the best RPG trilogies ever to be made. It's got its missteps here and there, but overall it is all quality and extremely worth this low price. Speaking of BioWare, one other thing I want to shout out is that their other major franchise, Dragon Age, has also been having a huge sale. Sadly, none of these games are actually supported for Steam Deck, but you can grab all 3 of them for $10, complete with all their DLC, or you can even grab them individually for just $3 or $4 a piece. I think they've been doing this as a way to hype up Veilguard coming out later this year, which I've actually done some dedicated coverage on because I got the chance to see the first full hour of it back at Summer Game Fest. That is a video on my side channel, Next Side Quest, so make sure to go check that out. I'll link that in here as well. I also just uploaded a new video on that channel going over everything that I got to play or see behind closed doors at Summer Game Fest, including Astrobot, LEGO Horizon Adventures, Monster Hunter Wilds, whole bunch of stuff. Make sure to go check it out. All right, for the rest of this video, I'm going to try and break down some of these deals by general genre or style of game, and since I was already talking about Mass Effect, I might as well dive right into RPGs. In particular, if you were a big fan of Baldur's Gate 3, which came out last year, there are a number of wonderful party-focused computer RPGs that are all on sale for under $10 that work on the Steam Deck. Some personal favorites of mine include a bunch of games developed by Obsidian, including the first Pillars of Eternity for $7.49, Pillars of Eternity 2 for $9.99, and Tyranny for $7.50. Another major RPG series that actually has something in common with Baldur's Gate in terms of being based on an actual tabletop game are the Pathfinder series of RPGs from Owlcat Games. The first one, Kingmaker, is super cheap right now for just $3. If you want to grab all the DLC and everything, that does add on to the price, but the core game alone, super cheap. Its bigger, better sequel, Wrath of the Righteous, is also on sale, though it doesn't quite meet that under $10 mark, going on sale right now for $11.50. Something a little weirder and a bit less traditional from these is Torment Tides of Numenera. This is a spiritual successor to a very classic PC RPG called Torment Planescape. You can also grab that on sale. Numenera is based on a different RPG that's much more science fantasy. It gets a little bit more out there, but it's a fantastic game and you can grab it for $8.74. And then one RPG that isn't quite like the rest on this list, but I'm just going to go ahead and group it here, Disco Elysium. This is an RPG in the sense that it still is very heavily focused on role-playing your character, making decisions. Things are going to be determined by dice rolls, but it's entirely focused on narrative choices and succeeding at skill checks. There's no major combat or anything in this. Absolutely incredible game, fantastic writing, and it is super cheap right now. You can grab the definitive edition for just $3.99. Now, on the other hand, if you're a fan of RPGs but you want something more of the JRPG variety, there's a bunch of great classics that have been ported, remastered, and released on Steam that you can grab on sale right now. For instance, Final Fantasy, for whatever reason, the Pixel remasters aren't on sale. Those are all full price right now, but all of the big 3 classic ones that were released on the PS1 that have been ported to PC are all under $10. You can grab Final Fantasy VII for $4.79, Final Fantasy VIII Remastered for $7.99, and my personal favorite, and I would argue the best of all of these, Final Fantasy IX for $8.39. Speaking of incredible JRPGs to come from Square, my favorite game of all time, Chrono Trigger, is also on sale. You can grab that for $7.50. I go a little back and forth with what my favorite version of the game is. I very much am in love with the original SNES version, but especially after a number of patches and updates, the PC version has become a lot better and features a lot of additional content you can also enjoy and check out, and not to mention is a lot easier to get a hold of than try to track down an SNES card for way too much money. As for some other JRPG franchises, two of my favorite Tales games are both on sale for under $10. You can grab Tales of Symphonia for $4.99 and Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition for $9.99. There's also the Trails in the Sky franchise that I actually am not as deeply familiar with, but I've heard nothing but incredible things and I keep meaning to fully dive in. Most of these, while on sale, are not going under $10, but the one that is actually the starting place if you want to go all the way back to the beginning as far as what's available in the US, with Trails in the Sky for $9.99. Next, let's talk about some platformers and Metroidvanias. This is one of my favorite classic genres, and there are a ton of incredible games available on PC, bunch of them under $10 right now. For instance, some incredible Metroidvanias include Hollow Knight for just $7.50, Blasphemous for $6.24. You can also get a bundle of it and 2 together for under $20, so that kind of comes out to both under $10 each. Time Spinner, one of the slightly less celebrated ones, but a very solid one in my opinion, is $4.99. You can also grab the official spiritual successor to the original Metroidvanias with Bloodstained Ritual of the Night at $9.99, and more importantly, my very much beloved side games to that, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, is $4.99, and Curse of the Moon 2 is $6.99. If you want to keep it classic and stick to actual straight-up Castlevania games, you can also grab the Castlevania Anniversary Collection for $3.99. This includes a lot of the very old-school original side-scrolling ones before they got into that Metroidvania formula. While this is one that's not under $10, you can also grab the Advanced Collection for $11.99. This includes my personal favorite Castlevania game, Aria of Sorrow. Some other platformers worth shouting out, Celeste is only $2, which, look, even if you're a little intimidated by the difficulty of it, it's $2. You should just check it out and try it out. It is an absolutely wonderful platformer. Coming from the same dev as that as well, but I feel like doesn't get talked about nearly as much, is Towerfall Ascension. This is one of my favorite party games that is just absolute madness and chaos, where you have multiple players all fighting on a platform-focused stage where a single hit gets you killed, and you can grab that game for just $3.74. And then another personal favorite of mine, the first game to come from Sabotage Studio, The Messenger, an absolute wonderful love letter to ninja platforming games of the NES and SNES days. You might know the studio a little more for their more recent title, Sea of Stars, which is their love letter to JRPGs. That one, sadly, while on sale, is not under $10, still a great deal though, but you can grab The Messenger for just $4. Another classic genre near and dear to my heart are side-scrolling beat-em-ups, and there's a bunch of great ones right now on sale. You can grab Scott Pilgrim the Game for $4.94. Remember when that was just missing and we never knew if we were going to get it back? Well, you can get it now for under $5. Castle Crashers, only $1.49. Dirt cheap for probably one of the more silly games on this list, but an absolute classic. Streets of Rage 4 is $9.99, and if you want a collection of some old school classic beat-em-ups, you can get the Capcom beat-em-up collection for $9.99. Next up, there's a couple devs that I just want to round up some favorite games from, starting with Supergiant Games. You probably are aware of who this is thanks to how big of a deal Hades was, and we are all now very excited for the early access of Hades 2. But honestly, this is a team where everything they've released from their very first game, I've been in love with. All of those games are on sale right now for less than $10. You can get their first game, Bastion, for just $2.99, Transistor for $3.99, the first Hades is $9.99, and then what I would consider to be one of their most underappreciated but incredible games, Pyre, you can grab that one for $4, which plays very differently from everything else on this list. You know, all the other ones you can describe as roughly being action games of some sort, whereas this is a visual novel fantasy sports game. But trust me, it's so good. Just give it a shot. I get why Hades is the big breakout hit, but give this one some love too. Another team I love is Bethesda, although I'm not actually going to be talking about the dev themselves. Those games are also on sale and incredible, worth picking up. But some other studios beneath Bethesda Softworks include id and Arcane, responsible particularly for Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. Absolutely incredible single-player FPS games for only $3.99 for the first one and $9.99 for Eternal. Meanwhile, from Arcane, there is the Dishonored franchise, one of the few series that helped keep alive the first-person stealth genre that I love so much, and I would want to see some more come back pack for. But if you want to check out these classics, the first Dishonored is $4.99, Dishonored 2 is $5.99, and Dishonored Death of the Outsider is also $5.99. One more franchise I absolutely love that has a bunch of games on sale for less than $10, Resident Evil from Capcom. A whole lot of the remakes you can grab for super cheap right now, with Resident Evil 2 Remake at $9.99, Resident Evil 3 Remake at $9.99, the 1 Remake, which still keeps the fixed camera angle style, and they actually also just announced they're releasing the actual classic versions of these games if you want to grab them. But if you want to grab the remake of the first one, that's going for $4.99 right now, and Resident Evil 0 is also $4.99. I got a couple miscellaneous stragglers I want to throw out real quick. For instance, Control. This was Remedy's previous title before Alan Wake 2, which obviously received a lot of raving reviews last year. Control, in my mind, is really the game where Remedy has fine-tuned their newest formula that is just fantastic. I mean, older Remedy games were great too, but there was always that little bit of kind of, cult fandom to them. There was a bit of roughness around them, but Control in particular, really when they nailed their current formula, and it's an incredible game. Probably gonna have to tweak your settings a little bit to get the most out of it on Steam Deck, but fantastic title you can grab for $9.99. There's also one of my favorite roguelike games, Into the Breach, which is slightly different from a lot of other roguelikes in that the genre it's mixed with you don't see as much of, which is a mech tactics game. Just an excellent example of fine-tuned tactical gameplay that doesn't take that long to do full runs of, as you try to do your best again and again and again and unlock new unit options for each new run. And then something very different from the rest of this list, the one visual novel I want to shout out, The Somnium Files. I am a huge fan of the author for this series, Uchikoshi, and of his games, this is the one that's on sale for less than $10. Absolutely fantastic game. It does have a sequel that's on sale as well, just not quite as cheap. And then actually an older series that he's responsible for is on sale as a collection, the Nonari games, for $11.29. Absolutely incredible games, very out there writing, but super engrossing, worth checking out. Another unique title that is an absolutely perfect fit if you've recently been enjoying the new season of Delicious in Dungeon is Battle Chef Brigade. This is a mixture of a match 3 puzzle game with 2D action platforming elements where the entire concept is hunting down different monsters and using their ingredients in order to cook up delicious looking dishes and win in a cooking competition. This game has a lot of fun ideas and twists on how the match 3 format works, and the art for all the delicious food you can make is so delicious, especially since depending on which character you play as, the cuisine they make will look completely different. And then one last game, and this is another one that is actually not under $10, but I love it. I want to talk about it. Might and Magic Clash of Heroes Deluxe. This is a classic game originally released on DS that has been ported and remastered multiple times. It's always maintained a bit of a cult fandom status, but is, in my mind, a very special game. It is this very specific fusion of puzzle, RPG, and strategy elements for a unique playstyle that I just haven't seen any other game nail down just quite right. You can grab this latest version of it for $11.49, and in fact, the devs behind this, Capybara, just recently announced they're finally making a new game that is a spiritual successor entirely focused on PvP called Battle Vision Network. Definitely give that a look as well, because I love this first game so much, and I'm so happy they are finally revisiting this style of game. So there you have it, 50 incredible games, all under $10 that you can grab right now for your Steam Deck. These are all Steam Deck verified, or at least playable. As always, if you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up button to let me know. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Make sure to check out my side channel as well, Next Side Quest. I've been putting a bunch more stuff up there lately, and I got a lot of stuff planned for it in the near future. So make sure to subscribe there as well so you don't miss out. And until next time, I will see you all later.